Are we hating men enough? Or do we need to do more? That's it. That's the intro. Let's talk about it. Warning, listening to us
might radicalize you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Unholy Feminists with me, Kath. Hi Gail.
Hi Kat, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, but I did promise you that I read one headline, one news from this whole Epstein saga, Epstein fiasco, and the news is Andrew just got arrested. He didn't just get arrested, he got arrested on the morning of his 66th birthday.
Okay,
I
yeah,
know.
that's amazing news.
Yeah. I mean, finally, some good news, right?
Right, because and I've actually been avoiding like a lot of things about it because it felt very triggering for me. I feel like yeah, it's just been a lot. So I've only been seeing like bits and parts of it. Sometimes when I feel like I'm in the headspace emotionally and mentally, then I will probably go Google to see, or I'll go on TikTok and search for a few things. But I am so glad for like all the survivors, the ones who are not around anymore, and the ones who are around and fighting. Like I can't even begin to imagine how they are feeling. Even though this is just like one of many that I'm hoping they will also arrest. Like
Donald
it's
Trump?
the best news. Right. I mean he's insisting they do not have that kind of relationship, right?
He said that he stopped talking to Jeffrey Epstein after he was registered as a sex offender, which was not true. I mean, from the Epstein files. I mean, look, Gail, for the past, I don't know, couple weeks, I have been combing through a lot of Epstein files content, mostly because I was doing two videos on the Epstein files, one on Jeffrey Epstein and the other one on Epstein files. So I wanted to gather as much information as possible. So I have been
Yeah.
drowning myself in information about the Epstein files. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've been feeling so weird lately, because it's a lot for someone to take in. But yeah, at least it's good news. Hopefully, more people, more of the perpetrators will also be held accountable for their actions, because it is atrocious. From what we have seen, it is atrocious.
That's true. But where are you going to be posting the videos? Will it
I already
be in
posted them
English?
actually. I posted them in Khmer, so unfortunately,
Okay.
you won't be able to understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have loved. But yeah. So there are times I come across your videos like and I try to hold on and see if the captions, but the captions never like it
It's
makes
not
sense. So
accurate.
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what? It's fine. This is not for me, and that's okay.
Just support me in spirit. But I mean, I do have another podcast that's in English. So yeah, and then
Yes.
it's in Cambodia's. I mean, we also talk a lot of shit about the US. So, but it's a little bit. I would like to say that it's a little bit different from Unholy Feminists, because there are certain topics that I can't talk, that I feel like my co-host Chris can't really empathize with. For example, with this topic, right? I mean, he talks shit about men with me as well, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit different, because with you and I, we kind of commiserate in a way, which was why I decided, you know what, I'm gonna talk about this topic with you, because I'm not a man, essentially.
Makes sense. I agree. I
Yeah.
perfectly understand.
Yeah. All right. So we have been talking a bit about the Epstein files, but that's not the point of the conversation today, of the video today. But it is a good segue, because after seeing everything about the Epstein files, I feel like I've been filled with this rage against men for having done all of these atrocious things, and they are getting away with it. Besides from Andrew, hopefully he won't get away with it. But anyway, and there's also couple that with the incelification of Cambodian men, because somehow a lot of young Cambodian men have been buying into red pill ideology, and there's this pushback between men and young women who are becoming feminists, and men are saying that, oh, feminism has gone too far. Feminism is teaching women how to hate men. So and then they say that it's misandry, right? And we hear this a lot. We hear people say that, oh, women are becoming misandrists right now. It's always, they hate men. It's just like misogyny, which is why I want to talk about this topic, which is that, are we really hating men enough? So let's introduce this by talking about misandry. What is misandry, Gail?
I think for a very long time, I said misandry did not exist. Because if there's no misogyny, then there can't be misandry. So for a very long time, I was of the idea. And then just a few days ago, I made a tweet that I understand misandrists and where they are coming from. And I also saw someone tweet that misandry is not feminism, but I'm both. And I feel like right now I'm kind of in that headspace. So for me, misandry is a reaction to misogyny. Misandry is a reaction to the deep-rooted and structural hatred that men have for women. That's misandry to me. Misandry is very individualistic. It's not a structural thing. Misogyny, on the other hand, is a structural thing, and it can also be individualistic, but it's so deeply rooted that it doesn't just operate on an individual level. So for me, misandry is, yeah, man hating, but it's very individualistic. Misandry does not also push women to harm men in any way. It's all about us sitting on the internet or in real life talking about how we do not like and we hate the people who oppress us. And I remember there was a conversation on Twitter not very long ago, and a man comes to say that some woman he knows who is a religious figure embodies perfect feminism. And I reply that men need to stop speaking on women's issues and men need to stop speaking on feminism.
Yep.
Then he comes back to combat that, well, the feminism we are practicing in modern day is not feminism, is man hating. So I replied, I'm only going to have a conversation with him if and when he's able to be a woman and he gets politically aware and radicalized without having any form of hatred for the same people who oppress her. Then we can have a conversation. Until then, he should keep his mouth out of women's business, because I do not see how a feminist can be radicalized and not have even a little bit of hatred for the people who oppress us. It's not, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that was perfectly said. I saw this TikTok comment that encapsulates how I feel about this. They said that she said that I hate men as a system, but men hate women as individuals. Basically, when it comes to how misandry, and I don't even think misandry is a real thing, but if we were to entertain the idea that misandry is a real thing, when we say that we hate men, we hate the system that men has created. We hate the privilege that men have. We hate the oppression that men have put us under. But we don't hate men as individuals. We still interact
Yes.
with men. We still communicate with men. Some of us still have romantic attraction towards men and even have male partners. We don't hate them as individuals, but we hate the entire system that encompasses men. Whereas for men, they hate us as individuals. They look at us and they want to kill us. They want to sexually assault us. They want to punish us. They want to oppress us. So they look at each of us and they want to harm us as individuals. They don't want to harm the system that we live in. And I do think that it was perfectly said that misandry is a reaction to misogyny, because without misogyny, misandry wouldn't
Exactly.
even exist. I mean, think about it this way. Okay, I'm going to be very, very controversial about this. Hamas, Palestine, Israel. If you look at Hamas in a vacuum, you would say, okay, they're terrible, they're
Yeah.
terrorists, right? They commit all of these terrible, terrible acts. But if you look at it, if you look at the full picture, if you had been oppressed and if you had been discriminated against, if you had been put in an open air prison for so many decades, if you had been put in an open air prison for so many decades, and your family and your friends are being assaulted, are being shot, are being murdered just for living, for existing, and you are living in this terrible, terrible environment created by the oppressors, eventually some of you are going to want to fight back. And you're not going to try to appeal the oppressors, because the oppressors, what do we expect to hold hands with the oppressors and sing kumbaya and hope for our rights to be given to us when they have been treating us like that? So hatred becomes a reaction to that, right? You hate your oppressors, which created the Hamas, which is why I think that if you look at the full picture, you can kind of understand why the Hamas came to be. So I'm not saying that misandry is like
Yeah.
terrorism. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that if you look at the big picture, sometimes when you oppress someone for so many years, you kind of should expect to be hated for
Yes.
that, you know?
Yes.
All right, so I was wrapping up talking about misandry and Hamas, a hot take, when we had to take a break. Now we're back. In case you're wondering why we look different now, we are back. So, Gail, but yeah, I didn't want to re-record because I figured I could only capture your reaction on Andrew's being arrested, on Andrew Windsor being arrested once. So
Yeah.
we're gonna keep this. Anyway, back to you. We were talking about the difference between misogyny and misandry. So why do we hate men now? What's up with that? Why do you hate men?
Because they oppressed me as a woman. So I think,
Yeah.
because like using analogies, I'm very sure black people hated white people during the era of slavery. And I could argue that this is very similar to, I mean, the
Yeah.
feelings and everything, because we as women are constantly, systematically, and structurally oppressed by men as a gender. So it's very difficult as a woman not to hate a man. I mean, when I meet women who don't hate men, I'm like, you know what? I want to be on whatever it is you are on, because that takes a lot out of you. But I also do think that a lot of women who do not hate men, the pick me's and the patriarchal princesses, they do not really grasp how oppressed we are as a gender by men. That is why
Mm-hmm.
they have the kind
Yeah.
of feelings they have, because they are not to sort of like go back to our last episode about us getting politically aware and radicalized and being too woke. The thing is, for me, once the veil lifted, there was no going back. Once I realized like the power patriarchy and misogyny extends to men and helps them to further like subjugate me, there was no going back for me. I cannot unsee it. I see it in the littlest things. And a lot of times that I've really felt like I'm at my lowest is because of a man. And this is not even about like relationships or anything. I'm not talking about that in that aspect. But it's the way a lot of men treat women. It's the way they talk to women. It's the way they talk about women. It's the things they do to women. I so the last time I was ranting a bit about like men as a gender, and a random man sent me a DM telling me that he thinks that my trauma is what has informed my feelings about men. So I need to seek
Yeah.
therapy. And you know what? Like maybe it's true. Maybe it's true because I feel like I've not been through like as worse as some other women, but I've been through things that legit justifies my feelings about men. So yeah, I hate men because they oppress us. Like just to sum it up, basically, that's why I hate men. And I think we really do not hate men enough as a gender. We women do not hate men enough because if we were hating men, we will actually be looking for revenge against men, not just like sitting on social media or like talking to men about the things they do that harm us and wanting them to change. We would actively be seeking revenge against men and unaliving them, stoning them.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that we don't hate men enough. When that guy, that asshole, was talking about how was trying to invalidate your experience, he was saying that, oh, it was informed by your trauma. Who caused that trauma?
Trauma, right?
A man. Who caused that trauma? Exactly, it was a man. I I can talk about so many times in my life when I was just minding my own business, having a great day, going out, feeling great, only to have my day ruined by a
A
random guy
man.
catcalling me. It has happened so many times, and it was all for. I mean, I was just minding my own business, right? And then a man suddenly decided that, okay, I'm gonna make her life a little harder by catcalling her, by harassing her on the street. So tell me, when that happens to us, how are we supposed to look at men in a good light, right? And it's
Exactly.
been a while since we recorded, so I don't remember if I talked about this, but the main difference between misogyny and misandry is that when we say that we hate men, we don't hate them we cannot affect the system that benefits men, right? Even if when women say that we hate men, most of us just want men to leave us alone. Most of us just dream and fantasize about a world where men don't exist. We don't go out of
Exactly.
our way to unalive men. We don't
Yeah.
go out of our way to rape or sexually assault men. But men, when they say that they hate women, they do all of that, right? It's not just, they're not just like, oh, I want women to leave me alone. No, it's the opposite. They seek out women to harm the women that they hate.
Hates,
So
yeah.
there's a stark difference there. When we say that we hate men, we don't systematically oppress them simply because we don't have the power and the privilege
True.
in society to do so. That's a huge, huge difference there. So, like you said, how can you not hate your oppressors when you see how your oppressors are oppressing you, right? I'm pretty sure that, for example, Native Americans didn't look at the colonizers, didn't look at
Yes.
Christopher Columbus and be like, "Oh, you murder our entire people. You gave our people syphilis, you raped our people. Yeah, I'm just gonna go and meet you halfway. I'm gonna try to meet you halfway and hear you out." No, that's not how it
And we'll
works.
hug it
You
out.
hate people who oppress you. Exactly. So that's why women hate men, because men are terrible, because men just can't do better. Men are so unlikable. And I think it's because for so long in history, men did not need to be likable, right? They did not need to have that survival mechanism,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
women needed men to survive. We needed men to make a living. We needed men for property, for shelter, for food, because we couldn't even open a bank account. We couldn't own property. So men didn't need to learn to be likable. But now that we don't need men anymore, men have to prove themselves and their worth, right? You
Yes.
cannot just say, okay, I'm gonna provide a shelter for you, and we'd be like, no, we can do that for ourselves. If you're an asshole, why do we have to align ourselves with you? So men suddenly, for the first time in history, just be like, how do I get women to like me? I don't want to develop a personality. That's too hard. I don't want to go to therapy. That's too hard. I'm just going to buy some podcast equipment and a rant about women to my bros online.
Like
And you know what?
Fuentes.
That's going to make you even more unlikable.
Yes. Because
Yeah.
you're just an incel. And like almost every woman hates an incel. I mean, there are those who still decide to stay with them, be with them for social currency. But I like
Yeah.
I saw like a short clip of, I don't know if it was Piers Morgan or like someone like that, asking Nick Fuentes how many women he's been with or something like that.
And he said no. He said
Yeah,
0.
yeah. I'm like, obviously, who the fuck? Which woman wants to deal with this? Wants to deal with you? And apparently, he's like the poster boy for manga. So yeah, that tracks. But I still don't understand why he's not getting women, the manga women, to like him. Cause like he doesn't even have options at this point. And I feel like that's what even makes them
Yeah.
more angry. It makes them more mad. But I always say that I'm so glad that I get to experience this generation of women, because like a lot of us are actually capitalizing on the steps and the roots that the past feminists did, and we are achieving so much, and we are living
Yeah.
life independently from men. Like, you don't necessarily have to be attached to a man as at the hip for you to like thrive as a woman in 2026. Like, do you get it? When you decide to be with a man, you are doing it because it's a conscious choice you are making. You are doing it as a form of autonomy, as a form of agency. You are not doing it because you have to be with a man. So I love it, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I love the trend right now, first in my bloodline, because when I see that and I think back on the things that I am able to do, the things that I am able to say, women, my ancestors were never able to do that. My mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother, they had to get married in order to survive economically, right? And for the first time in history, in my history, in my bloodline, I am able to refuse to get married. I am able to refuse to have children because of all the path that has been paved for us by feminists and by all these incredible women, bringing us to where we are today. And that makes me so proud of the work that we've done, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I love being here. One of the things that might not really matter, but I love that I'm able to do, is cuss out a man in 2026, because I'll cuss you out. Because who do you think you
Agree.
are, treating me like that and talking to me like that? Like, I will cuss you out. First in my bloodline, to be able to do that and get away with it too. Cause yeah,
I mean, not just curse you out. I will make a video blasting you
on
online
social
so
media,
that other
yes,
women can also curse you out as well.
yes, yes. I love that.
All right. So, let's talk about the gender divide, because a lot of people would say, oh, there's a gender divide going on, there's a gender gap, gender war, the male loneliness epidemic. What are we going to do? How can we, is it something that we can overcome as a society, the divide between men or women and gender diverse folks? Can we overcome? Or do we even have to overcome? Do we, like, I hate this word, but do we have to meet men halfway?
I actually I hate the phrase gender war. There's no gender war happening. It's like saying Palestine is at war with Israel. That's what it gives when people say
Yeah.
gender war, and a lot of times it's men. There's no gender war. It's women being oppressed by men. Is Israel oppressing Palestine? Like that's just it. There's no war going on. It's us women
Yeah.
trying to like fight for our agency, trying to fight for our autonomy, because we just want to be regarded as people with full personhood, that we can think and do things for ourselves, that does not have to be dependent on a man. So I do not believe there's even a gender war happening. I do think that I don't think we need to meet men halfway. There's no meeting people who oppress you halfway. Actually,
Yeah.
we cannot do that. Men just need to fucking fix their issues, and what we are trying to do is try as hard as we can to change the system. It's hard, it's difficult, and sometimes it can feel very pointless as we do it, because the system's patriarchy and misogyny is so ingrained structurally that is so difficult. But what we can do as women is continue working to change the system through, like,
Yeah.
advocacy, through talking to each other, through, like, I hate saying this, but educating the men in our family, the men around us. Like, it's not ideally it shouldn't be our burden to educate men, but we just live in this world where sometimes you just have to, because they are your brother, they are your cousin, they are your nephew, or, like, they are your friends, then maybe they would say something, so you use that opportunity to let them know why the way they think or the way they do certain things is problematic, and how it further harms and oppresses women. So that's what we can do on our end. And we can also have feminists in place, people who are not just girl bossing, people who actually care about feminism beyond women's empowerment, people who care about women's liberation, people whose feminism do not just end as we are equal to men. No, people who actually care about women's liberation, to be in places of power, to be in places that they can actually effect change in the systems that have already been put in place. That's what we can do as women. But outside that, I do not think there's any way we can meet men in the middle, because I feel like if we say we are going to meet men in the middle, we are just going to start enabling and overlooking a lot of things, which is what has been happening for like a really, really long time. A lot, because I don't think we can say that the women from the 1990s and from the 1980s. Oh, we are from the 1990s. So I don't know. I don't know why
From
that
the
felt
late
so far.
1900s.
Yes. Let me even just, we can't say that women from the early 1900s did not realize that the way men treat them is wrong. They did. But I feel like the meeting them in the middle started from that place where you start making excuses for the things men do, and then you just find ways to regulate yourself instead of holding men accountable. We are no longer there. It's not working. It will not work. We need to hold men accountable, and holding them accountable will not work if we are meeting them in the middle. So we cannot meet men in the middle. What do you think? I've ranted a lot.
I I think that there is no such thing. I agree with you. I don't think that there's such thing as the male loneliness epidemic. I think it should be called the male being held accountable epidemic.
Yeah.
Because what's happening right now is men are being held accountable, and that's why they're lonely. Because honestly, from the women that I know in real life, women that I talk to, it's not that we don't want to associate ourselves with men. It's not that we don't want to have a partner. It's not that we don't want to date men. It's just that we don't want to date shitty men. And unfortunately, a lot of them, most of them are shitty men. If a guy is emotionally intelligent, if a guy exceeds past the bar that is in hell, if a guy is sensible, if a guy is genuinely a good person, I am pretty sure that there will be women who want to be with him.
Yes.
It's not that we don't want to be with men, it's just that we don't
Yes.
want to be with shitty men anymore. That's the
Exactly.
problem.
Exactly.
And I don't think that women should meet men halfway. I think men should meet us where we are. I think we've reached a point where men have to come over here and basically fulfill our demands in a way to just fucking go to therapy and stop being such dickheads.
Yes.
So I don't think that we need to meet each other halfway anymore, because it's kind of like how the liberals, the Democrats are saying that, oh, we'll meet the Republicans halfway. And once you go halfway there, the Republicans go back even further. And then the Democrats have to go forward again and say, oh, we'll meet them halfway again. Before you know it, the Democrats are now centrist or right wing. It's essentially, it can be the same way with women meeting men halfway, because we can meet men halfway and then suddenly men go back and they redraw the line, and then women have to go meet them halfway again, and then before you know it, women are now catering to the patriarchy again. I don't think at this point we need to meet them halfway. They need to either meet us where we are or continue to be lonely. I don't care if men are lonely. Men need to be lonelier. Men need to be held more accountable. We need to hate men more. I don't think we hate men enough.
No, no, we don't. I actually wrote a Substack essay on it that, like, I don't. I feel like a lot of people, especially on my Snapchat, where I do a lot of my ranting, have tagged me as a man hater, and it's very funny. I mean, I'm not rushing to dispute it. I'm not. I'm not a misandrist, but I empathize with misandries. I really, really get where they're coming from. I get where they're coming from. So I'm not going to rush to tell a man that, oh, I'm different. I'm not different. I'm just like all the men haters out there. In fact, I can't even be worse. I'm just like all the man haters out there. So I do not rush to correct men when they say I'm a man hater. Women are not asking for much, cause we really are not. I remember I was
No.
having a conversation with my male friend last last night, and he asked me, how can I tell when a man is performative? Because I think he's relatively one of the most progressive men I've had the chance of getting to know. I would definitely give him that. We have great conversations. And so he was asking me that there are times he fears coming off as performative without even realizing that he's being performative. So, like, how does he navigate that? And so we were having a conversation about like all that, and then he asked me like, what would I generally look out for in a man? And I was like, honestly, I'm not even asking for much. I just want a man who respects and understands that I am a person just like he is. We really are not, because if you have respect and if you have regard for women, I feel like a lot of things would change. Like a lot of things. Because it starts from the individual before we can get to the system, before we can get to the structure. But if the individuals are so hard bent on treating women like we are second thoughts, like we are made to, supplement them or complement them, Like they are superior beings, and then we are just the lesser beings who exist to, I don't know, put them on a pedestal. Then I don't know. I mean, I don't want anything to do with you, basically. But we are not asking for much.
I do think that it's ironic that men would go around and say, I don't understand what women want. Women are so complicated. When the women have been talking about what we want for ages and men don't listen to us, they don't listen. They'd be
No.
like, no, 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 that's you're lying. That's not true. And then what do? They turn around and they go listen to people like Andrew Tate. They go listen to people like Fuentes, like Charlie Cook. Do not rest in peace. People like that to tell them what women want instead of actually listening to women telling them what we want. They're like, oh, women, you don't know what's going on in your mind. I'm just gonna listen to an incel telling me what women want.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they just give a surprised Pikachu face when women are like, that's not what we want actually. So yeah. Last point is, what do men need to do to be less hated? Go to therapy.
Literally.
Yeah.
And read. I feel like men don't read enough. And even when they read, they are not reading what matters. Yes. Don't just like,
Don't just read things from men.
yeah.
Read things written by women.
Women, yes. Men need to, because I feel like reading helps a lot with unlearning and like, relearning how, because again, I get that, like, realistically, our enemy is patriarchy, and men are the tools that is being used by the patriarchal systems. So, but I feel like at a point you can't also be absolved of, all the ways in which you benefit from patriarchy. I don't think a man can ever be absolved of that. All the ways in which they benefit from patriarchy and also use
Yeah.
patriarchy to harm and oppress women. So you need to be willing to do the work. And it's not even like, it's not such crazy work. Again, I feel like I've written about this on my Substack as well, where I mentioned that for a lot of men, for you to be able to, like, treat women as they are, you need to lose something. And for a lot of them, it's losing relationships, it's losing the privileges they have about being like, one of the boys of being, because when you become radicalized, when you become a progressive man, when you become a man that understands that women are human beings, and so you need to treat them as human beings, you also start calling out your friends, you start calling out, the things that the men around you do, and suddenly you realize that you might be taken out of the circle. You will not be able to have access to the things that you used to have when you used to keep quiet, when your friends are like being. So men need to be ready to lose something. But is this so terrible to lose terrible people? It's not. But like, they don't want to do it.
It's
So
not.
yeah, it's not. But like, men don't want to put in the work. And again, it's not difficult work. It's really not difficult work. Like Kat said, there are men out here who are not hated. Like literally, my friend I was talking to last night, he's like one of the people we talk like once every month, where we have like really, really long and amazing conversations. But he's one of the men that I've spoken to, and like genuinely, because he's open to learning. He's open, and he's actually listening to women. He's listening to women, like who randomly text me, or he wants to understand this and that. And I like that. It's not difficult. You are not so different from all the men out there who are doing the work. You are not. You're just lazy. And you think that, again, you really, really think that you are superior, and so you don't need to listen to women. Like, I literally saw a tweet a few days ago of a man saying that I don't think women have anything in their brains, so I don't listen to what women say. Like,
Oh my
a
God.
woman can be
Oh.
talking, I will sit there, but I'm not going to take anything they say serious because I don't think they have anything to say. From a bum, a bum, a bum. I'm like,
Uh,
just look at that. Honestly,
yeah, I think you captured that perfectly. Just listen to women because we know what we're talking about. Listen to women, read things written by women. Just stop listening to the red pill sphere. Just tune out. Be conscious of the content that you're consuming because red pill content can be very, very dangerous. Don't
yeah.
listen to incels, obviously. I don't even know why I need to say this, but don't listen to incels. Don't fall into red pill rabbit hole. And please, for the love of God, if you can't afford it, go to therapy. Come on. I think we all actually could benefit from therapy, but men especially. But I'm not saying this in a way that some men go to therapy and then they weaponize therapy speak against women. They
Yeah,
would be like,
yeah.
oh, that's my boundary. If you don't suck my dick, that's my boundary. Like, what the fuck? Some men are like that. Like, they are just they weaponize therapy speak for their own gain. So please go to therapy and actually learn from therapy and be better. I think some of the men in my life that I have talked to that I actually enjoy talking to and I think are have some redeeming quality are men who are critical of other men, are men
Yes.
who are not defensive of their gender, men who come up to me and say, yeah, my gender is shit, yeah, men are shit, how can I do better as a man, or what can I learn from you? And when you actually talk to them, they listen rather than talking over you. I think
Yeah,
that's very important.
I agree. I perfectly agree with you.
Anything else to add before we wrap up?
Not really. Just that I think women are justified. I think misandrists are justified. Again, I'm not a misandrist, and I think it definitely can be a slippery slope. Being a misandrist and spewing gender essentialists and bio essentialists, like, um I cannot find a word, but like you get what I'm saying. Ideas. It can be a slippery slope between like being a misandrist and speaking ideas that further oppose gender essentialism and bioessentialism. So I feel like misandries maybe need to find a line so that we don't cross into supporting men are just men and that men are inherently wicked. I think men can change if they want to, but like it doesn't also hold me back from hating them. I hate men as a system.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right. I love this conversation because I love talking about hating men. And
Yes.
thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow us on YouTube, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on all social media platforms at Unholy Feminists. And you can listen to our podcast on all podcast apps. We enjoyed talking about this, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to us too. So we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.